Hello YouTube, welcome to Monday's edition of The Breakfast Club. I'm Got That Funk, thanks for joining me. And I want to thank the other members of The Breakfast Club who made videos last week for referencing my topic, which is quite a surprise since we've ended the round robin discussions. It was a delightful surprise to find everybody found my topic worthy of discussion. So thanks guys. And yeah, I don't really feel the videos need any kind of formal rebuttal from me. It's each to their own. I do want to say, good luck to Wayne and his wife who've been wanting to have kids, and best wishes as well to my good friends Peach and DevShell 2. I was tickled to death when I found out yesterday in Peach's video that you guys plan to have a kid or kids in the future. It literally gave me butterflies in my stomach. So congrats, and I hope nothing but the best for y'all. Anyway, on with the topic of this video. This is a subject that in one form or another has bothered me my entire life. And I did discuss this on my own channel to some degree about 6 years ago. But I'm posing the question slightly differently because the world has moved on since then. But the question is still valid. And in fact, with current events, in my opinion, it's a bit more pertinent now than it ever was. And that's this. With all the problems we've got in the world with extremism and terrorism and, oh shit, you're sorry, right? You're probably pissed off at me now and you're already typing thinking, why didn't he say Islamic extremism or Islamic terrorism? Well, now I've said it. You happy? Anyway, with everything that's going on in the world right now, do you think there's any such thing as a responsible use of nuclear weapons to combat terrorism? Is there any such thing as a terrorist attack which would be of the magnitude which would justify a nuclear response? Let me be clear. A terrorist attack that wasn't sponsored by the government of another country. Is there any scenario that you could see that would justify a nuclear attack? It's my opinion, and this is what I said in my video 6 years ago, and nothing changes when it comes to this because it's been my opinion the entire life that I've lived, that nuclear weapons are an obscenity and they have no responsible use, and the only excuse for their existence is the mutually assured destruction doctrine, which basically guarantees that if my enemy shoots nukes at me, I'm going to retaliate in kind. But that is from a time when it was only nation states that possessed nuclear weapons. And I think one of the great fears about the future is that at some point terrorists will acquire a device which is capable of a nuclear detonation. Not a dirty bomb, which you make by using conventional weapons to disseminate large quantities of radioactive material, which would still be awesomely bad for anybody who got attacked like that. But it's nothing compared to a nuclear detonation. In either event, I don't think there is any justification for retaliating with nuclear weapons, because if the attack wasn't sponsored by a nation state, using it against any other sovereign country would be an act of war, for one thing, against that country, even if you were only trying to attack what you saw as the agents in that terrorist group. The fact is that a nuclear detonation virtually anywhere that's populated is going to kill lots and lots and lots of civilians, people who had nothing to do with it. And there isn't anything as terrible as a nuclear detonation in terms of the capabilities of man against man. And when I made my video 6 years ago, I had a conversation in the comment section with Phil Helines, who basically said that if there was a dirty bomb attack or a nuclear detonation, it would virtually guarantee a nuclear response, and it wouldn't matter whether it was justified, it would just happen. And that was a sobering thing for me to contemplate. It's rare that I want Phil Helines to be wrong about something, but I very much hope he was. And I wonder what you guys think in the audience. When it comes to the use of nuclear weapons against terrorism, I just can't find any justification, no matter how extreme the terrorist act might be, because you can't just kill terrorists with a nuclear weapon. And I suppose people would say, well, the terrorists don't care about killing civilians, and I think that's kind of leading me on to my next point, because that's the kind of shit Donald Trump says, and I talked a little bit about this on my own channel last weekend, but I'm really concerned about the potential for Donald Trump to be president of the United States. Because I take together some of the things Trump said, and it makes me think that he's got like a secret plan in his brain that he wants to use nuclear weapons of some small scale to attack a terrorist stronghold, to make some sort of statement to the world that we're not to be messed with. It just seems to fit his character for one thing, but that's not the reason I think it. The reason I've got this fear about Donald Trump specifically is because of, you take the combination of things that he said together, and it just kind of sends alarm bells off in my head. For example, famously a few months ago, he said that we should temporarily ban all Muslims from coming to the United States, quotation marks, until we figure out what's going on. All right, so you take that. He wants to close the borders, which, is about a different subject. You might think it's about illegal immigration, but follow me here. He wants to close the borders, make it much harder to get into the United States, physically at the border with Mexico, of course, but he doesn't just mean that. He wants to ban Muslims from coming to the United States temporarily, ostensibly. He has said that he doesn't consider waterboarding to be sufficiently harsh torture in the fight against terrorism, and that we should be even harder on terrorists. And he said that we should use torture even if we sometimes torture the wrong people. It doesn't matter, because we need to send a message that we're going to be strong against terrorists. And he said that if the terrorists in ISIS don't value their own lives, then they'll value the lives of their families, and that's why we should deliberately target their families in order to punish ISIS. Never mind the fact that that's a war crime. You take all those things together, and it makes me very suspicious that Donald Trump has this fantasy in his head that if he drops a nuclear weapon, say on the ISIS stronghold in Libya or something like that, that he's going to be making some kind of a statement. And the reason I think this is because, like I say, if you take the other stuff he said in common, he doesn't care about killing the civilians. We should deliberately try to kill their families. He doesn't think waterboarding is sufficiently harsh torture, and that we should employ torture more often, even if it means getting the wrong people sometimes. So he clearly thinks of these people as less than human. And the whole ban Muslims thing. Now think about this for a second. If you had this as a secret plan in your head, if you preemptively, before you carried it out, if you banned all the Muslims in the world, no matter what country they're coming from coming to the United States, and then you did something flagrantly awful, like use a small-scale nuclear weapon against a terrorist target, you're going to get the opprobrium of the entire world for one thing, but you will inflame an awful lot of terrorist hatred in the Islamic world. You'll in turn, who knows how many people into extremists who weren't going to be extremists before, and the ones who already are going to be more determined than ever to do something about it. So you would have to preemptively strengthen your borders, and if you preemptively already had a ban against Muslims from coming to your country, you wouldn't have to come up with something quick because it's already there. And then we'd only have to deal with the inflammation of whatever the rest of the world decided to do about it. Because I don't think the use of nuclear weapons, even if it was in retaliation for some sort of terrorist incident, would go down very well with the rest of the world. I really, really feel strongly that we should always be reticent to use nuclear weapons, because we might accidentally kick off a nuclear contact between nuclear armed countries, even if ostensibly we do it in the name of the war against terrorism. So yeah, these are some thoughts that concern me. I'd be very interested to hear what you've got to say about my questions. Do you think it's ever justifiable to use nuclear weapons as a response to terrorism, or to deter terrorism? That's the main question that I want you to consider. Other questions, of course, involving Donald Trump. Do you think I'm off my head? Am I just being paranoid and like, is it just my hatred of Donald Trump that makes me come up with all these conspiracy fantasies? I'm open to that. I totally am. I don't really think that's it, though. I hate invoking Godwin's law, but Hitler wrote in Mein Kampf everything he was going to do before he did it, and he did it, and said he was going to do it, and he did it. And I'm not saying Donald Trump's ever said that that he's going to do this. But like I say, we take the other stuff he said and you put it together and you think, it just, for me, it kind of adds up. And of course, I hope it's fucking hell that I'm wrong. I hope he doesn't become president of the United States, and it won't matter whether I'm right or wrong. Anyway, thank you for enduring this video. I know I've rambled and ranted a little bit about it, but you know, stream of consciousness, man. JJ Talks is up for tomorrow's video. Who knows whether she's going to talk about this subject or something else? I sure don't. I look forward to what you've got to say in the comments section down below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you thought it was worthwhile to watch. And I'll see you again next week. Until next time, may the funk be with you always.